Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TKW Mental Health, where we normalize calling on Jesus and dialing 911 at the same time. Let's get started. Today, my heart is heavy because I know many of you probably saw the video or at least heard about the video where the young lady shot and killed her husband on live on Facebook. And it brought back so many memories for me, even though my daughter's was kind of live after the fact, after it was done, and the police had to come and kick in the door and, try to get to my baby. And there were so many things that went through my mind. Like, how do we conversate? Do we have a conversation to listen? Do we have a conversation to control? Or do we just have a conversation just to react? It takes two to have a conversation. And for it to be a good conversation, someone has to listen. It would benefit both parties to listen. Now, 4 children will grow up without a mom and a dad, all because of the lack of communication skills. Now, prior to what happened, this couple was a beautiful couple. People looked up to them, and they appeared to be in love, but Facebook, as I say, people mask behind Facebook. I can be one to say I mask behind Facebook. When I get off of here, you guys don't know what I go through or what my feelings are, what my intentions are. But in order for us to reach the community that we need to reach, we need to learn how to conversate and have a conversation with listening. A lot of us have that conversation, but we're not listening. Maybe our loved ones did say something in conversation that we miss, but we're not in tune to what they're saying. We're just reacting. We're waiting for them to finish what they're saying so that we can talk. But in order for us to have valid conversation to help stop suicides, to help stop domestic violence, we need to start listening. I mean, really listening, not listening to respond. Like, just have a blank state and really hear what a person is saying. Like, I see the gentleman, I am one that believe that yes, men sometimes are privy to domestic violence. It's not, in my opinion, it's not as often as females do, but it does happen. And when it does happen, and if that male comes to you with a problem, are you listening to respond? Or are you listening to hear what they're trying to tell you? Now, I watched the young lady. She had a lot going on. She just had a baby. There might have been something behind that, some feelings, some emotions carried over. We'll never know what the real deal was. The fact is, a young man lost his life over something so minor and simple, in a blink of an eye. I've always been taught, don't pull a gun unless you intend to use it. So a gun is not a toy. A gun is not a weapon to utilize as a fear tactic. Guns don't kill, people kill. although we need to band together to come up with some laws on the books to protect our youth, we also need to start listening to what people are actually saying. People are not saying that you can't have guns. People are not saying that they have an issue with you buying guns and purchasing guns. The issue is that people are getting guns that should not have them. Just because a person has not been diagnosed with a mental illness does not mean that they don't suffer from some type of illness. So, with that being said, in order to stop the madness of school shootings, people taking their lives, there's something that we must do. We must have a conversation to listen, not to control the narrative, but to actually listen, to hear what needs to be done, what needs to be said. Everybody has an opinion nowadays, and people are responding to what they think they are hearing. They think that they are hearing, take all the guns away. You're not entitled to have guns. That's not what I am trying to say. And I don't believe that we as a nation or as a society is trying to say. So we need to broach that subject now. And also, when we're talking about the subject, please learn to listen, not to respond. Like a lot of times we'll go to these meetings, on guns, and we tend to go in with our narrative already set. We're not really trying to hear what others are trying to say. We just want to protect our rights. And for some, protecting our rights means, no, we're not going to do anything about gun control because we have the right to bear arms. Yes, certain people have the right to bear arms. If you're mentally stable. So, as a community, as a nation, in a society, we must learn to listen and come together to achieve a role in the community that creates boundaries for guns. I don't know what else we can do because some of us are not listening. Many of us hear, many of us see what needs to be done. Many of us have learned the hard way through the loss of a child, through gun violence. And I know that mother that lost that child, and then the other mother whose daughter has to most likely suffer the consequences. Like I said, we don't know all the details. We are on the outside looking in. But we have to learn to listen. And trust me, people, when someone in a relationship wants to leave the relationship, it is all right. It is okay. Let them leave, even if for a moment, to keep your sanity. There are things that happen in that video that we have no narrative to, but there's so many people speculating. And I know the details will come out soon enough, but I do offer my prayers to the mother who lost that son, and to the mother who has to deal with a daughter that may be going away for life, that has 4 babies. And in the moment, no one was listening. Everyone was talking. There was no real conversation going on. And when someone is trying to leave that atmosphere that may be toxic in the moment, please leave that atmosphere, to let everyone calm down, take a moment and breathe. And remember that, yes, it's important what you have to say, but also it's important to create an environment where you can be heard. If there's a lot of violence and toxicity going on, then you're not going to be heard. If there's a lot of people just reacting, you're not going to be heard. So I had to ask myself, when I'm in conversation with people, do I talk? Do I give them a chance to finish what they're saying? Do I listen? So I started being in the moment, like really thinking about what I'm thinking, like having that metacognition going on when I'm talking to someone on the phone. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm letting them finish their sentence before I respond. And even before I respond, am I taking a moment to really hear what they said so I can respond correctly? So now, I noticed, I was like, okay, maybe I don't listen the way I thought I was listening. I thought I was paying attention, but I noticed as I'm being, I'm just like living in that moment. I'm just taking it in and I'm listening. And I'm like, wow, I think I just cut that person off and I don't think they were finished. So now I want to start saying, oh, you know what? I am so sorry. Go ahead and finish what you were saying. And I hear you, and then I want to repeat back to the person what they said, to make sure I heard before I respond. There's a lot of negativity in conversations. And maybe now, if we all just take a moment to realize how we are interacting in our conversations with the people that are important to us, to the people that we come in contact with, to our coworkers, anyone in our surroundings. How are we responding to them? How are we, really listening? Are they crying out for help and we really don't hear them because we can't wait to give our opinions on what's being said? And maybe sometimes we want to talk about something, but the other party does not want to talk at this time. So it's okay. And then, it's okay to say, let's come together. What time works for you where we can really sit and talk about it, where we can agree to disagree, where we can really hear each other. Even if it means I need to spend the night away if I'm in a marriage, not to be with someone else, but, just to spend the night to give some room, some space to that other party to calm down so that they can talk about it in the moment. So with all that being said, I just know that no matter what you're going through, let us as a nation start to conversate, to listen. And remember that you can call on Jesus and dial 911 at the same time. My 911 definitely does not look like your 911. And there's help out there. There's resources out there. Couples counseling. There are pastors out there that counsels couples. Just realize that you are not alone in your journey. Facebook is not a place to air out your grievances. about what's going on in your household and in your family. Seek some real help. You know, we tend to cater to, you know, trying to let the world know what's going on in our lives. But everything is not for the world. Some things is for you as a couple, for you in your singleness, for you and God. You and God alone. And only He can walk you through it as He utilizes His vessels, people with a voice that hopefully under the sound of my voice will learn to have a conversation, to listen. And with that being said, just know that I love you guys. I pray for you guys daily. And it is okay to call on Jesus and dial 911 at the same time. Be blessed.